children here. And I'm beyond grateful to live in a state where our governor, this entire administration, and our legislature are deeply committed to protecting and expanding not just reproductive rights, but women's rights, broadly speaking. Because in California, we trust women. In California, we believe women. In California, we value women and we support their right to choose. And we will continue to lead with those values by protecting abortion access and serving as a haven for anyone in this country needing an abortion. If California has to continue to lead and be defiant in the face of sexism and misogyny and racism, then so be it. Then that's our calling. But my heart, it goes out to all of the women in this country. And I hope you know that California has your back. So now, I have the opportunity, to introduce one of California's greatest leaders, a champion and dedicated leader in the Senate, Senator Tony Atkins. Thank you, Pro Tem Atkins, for meeting the moment and leading the effort to give voters the opportunity this November, to enshrine the right to an abortion in our state's constitution. Again, I'm so grateful to you. I'm grateful to my husband. I'm grateful to everyone around me, this entire administration, the Women's Caucus, all of you incredible leaders in California, for being so brave and courageous and leading on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for so much. I would like to say I'm proud to be here, and I am proud to be here with these incredible leaders. Members of the Women's Caucus, my legislative partner in the Assembly, Speaker Rendon, our governor, the first partner, our Attorney General. I am proud to stand with these individuals, but we should not have to be here this morning, or this afternoon. We should not have to be here this afternoon. And even though that we knew this was a possibility, nothing can truly prepare you for the feeling you get when you read the headline that the highest court in our nation just eradicated nearly 50 years of precedent related to abortion access and privacy. It made my stomach drop. I frankly have been sick at my stomach all morning. But it also made me furious for millions of women and people nationwide, as our first partner said, who now will be living in a reality that does not include the right to control a critical medical decision about their own body. A decision that should only be between a patient and their healthcare provider. Let me be crystal clear. That right is protected here in California, and my colleagues and I are ensuring that the fundamental right to abortion and contraception will be protected by our state constitution. That is the goal of SCA 10, and in November, California voters will be able to have the final say at the ballot box. I'm proud that we've already taken bold action, as well have a package of legislation aimed at protecting and expanding abortion access in our state for all Californians and for those who may need to come here for reproductive health care. And I want to say thanks to Assemblymember Bauer Cahan and a critical bill that we're going to hear about in a little while, AB 1666, which is now before our governor today. We moved quickly on this bill because we knew it was only a matter of time before the decision dropped. Thank you to my legislative colleagues and absolutely to Speaker Rendon for your swift work. AB 1666 makes sure that people who come from states where they are at risk of civil action and financial retaliation if they seek an abortion will be protected here. Those inhumane laws will not cross California borders. We will not leave women and families impacted by the fall of Roe v. Wade and the backwards, reckless policies of other states without options. We will not do that. We are here to further rights, not take them away. And to those folks, I would say this. As Jennifer Siebold Newsom said, you are welcome here. You have choices here, and you have allies here. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my legislative partner and the co-author of SCA 10, Speaker Anthony Rendon.
Thank you, Pro Tem Atkins. Thank you for your leadership on this issue, obviously for your leadership on AB 1666, as well as your leadership on SCA 10. Proud to be here to join our governor, our legislative leaders, in particular, Assembly members Wilson and Bonta, who are with us this afternoon. All of us today are aghast. We are aghast, but we are not speechless. There is a compulsion to rage against the darkness of this malicious court decision that harms every woman. The Supreme Court is supposed to deliberate. Instead, they have decimated. They have decimated women's rights to bodily integrity. They have invaded the personal domain of every woman in this nation, even those who find protection here in California. Our rights are in free fall. Our rights are in free fall, especially with the Supreme Court majority poking holes in those rights. This is the illegitimate product of a frightening alliance of power-hungry authoritarians, religious fundamentalist beliefs, and corporate greed. We cannot, and in California, we will not stand by as the constitutional rights of women are stripped away. That is why we are here today, to see the protections of AB 1666 signed into law. That is not all, though. Next week, the Assembly will take up the critically important Senate Constitutional Amendment 10, for which I am a proud joint author, together with my partner, Senate President Pro Tem Tony Atkins. SCA 10 will give Californians the opportunity to enshrine a woman's fundamental right to reproductive freedom into our state constitution. We will not go gently into the night that they are creating. We are fighting back in California. Now here's California's top elected legal fighter, Attorney General Rob Bonta.
Good afternoon, Rob Bonta, Attorney General. And there's no other way to describe today. It is a dark day. It is a sad day. It is a tragic day. The Dobbs decision issued this morning can only be described as outrageous, as devastating, as dangerous. It's unprecedented. And make no mistake about its impact. Health has been put at risk throughout this country. Lives have been put at risk throughout this country. The lives of some of our most vulnerable, disadvantaged communities, poor communities, communities of color. And this decision is an attack on privacy, on freedom, on self-determination, on equality. This decision is an attack on women. It's an attack on women's equality. It's an attack on pregnant people. And with this decision that in one fell swoop makes disappear 50 years of settled law and constitutional precedent, it sends us back over 150 years. This decision is unique. It is historical. It is unprecedented in a horribly tragic way. It is the first time the U.S. Supreme Court has stricken down, has abolished, has demolished, has stripped away an existing constitutional right that's been in place for over 50 years. And we need to look no further than the words of the court for what this myopic decision means. In their very powerful dissent, jointly authored, Justice Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan laid out the dystopian ramifications. In their words, this revocation of our fundamental rights is the curtailment of women's rights and of women's status as free and equal citizens. As of today, the Supreme Court holds a state can always force a woman to give birth, prohibiting even the earliest abortions. People are hurting now. This decision triggered laws throughout this country, 17 of them. Others about to act in the wake of this decision to criminalize abortion, strip away protections. Millions of Americans are suffering now and are going to continue to suffer. And we must not shy away from who these women are: women of color, single moms, victims of rape, victims of incest, young women just starting out their careers and journeys in life, women who lack the economic means to care for a child, those who lack the means to travel to a state like ours, like California, where their freedom remains protected, and any woman who wants to exercise her right and liberty to choose what is best for her. And yes, California is a safe haven for them and all who seek abortion care. And we always will be.
Yeah, it's because I turned it off
It
for
is not.
the.
For women and those with marginalized identities seeking reproductive care, it is a haven no longer. This decision fails to protect us,
Not a
but I,
practice.
in California, will not.
Cut.
As our state's chief
Alright.
law enforcement officer, I will use the full force
So,
of the law.
Grandpa,
I will use the full
7.
authority of my office
unbiased.
to
4.
protect reproductive health care.
Dealer.
Always. Period.
5.
Full stop. End of story.
Grandpa,
Abortion
3.
remains fully legal in California.
unbiased.
Let me repeat
Queen.
that. Abortion remains fully legal
Dealer goes
in
down.
California. Today's decision does not
So,
impact our state's laws
Grandpa, you're
and
first.
your
10.
right to choose within our borders and in other states that protect reproductive freedom. You have a right to an abortion here. You have the right to an abortion before viability without a reason. You have the right to an abortion after viability to protect your life or your health. You have the right to obtain an abortion
No.
without parental
Grandpa,
consent.
you have a 10.
I will
Unbiased,
not
you
back
have a
down from
14.
defending these rights,
But Grandpa's
standing
first.
them, and keeping our clinics accessible and safe. Because in California, we refuse to turn back the clock and let radical ideologies exert control
Draw.
over your body.
Hit on 10.
Instead,
You got a
we will
3.
heed the words of the Supreme Court.
You're now up to
Today's
13.
decision is confirmation that we must further codify the right to a safe and legal abortion. And it is time to explicitly recognize a right to abortion in our state's constitution.
Hit on a 13. With a
This
6.
is a dark day
You're now up to
for our
19.
girls and all our children who will now come of age in a nation with fewer rights, fewer freedoms, and fewer protections.
You're
from
not up yet,
generation.
unbiased.
That is not progress. But on days
Grandpa
like
stands
this,
at
I'm
19.
more determined than ever,
Okay.
Fight like hell for
Unbiased,
our
you are now up.
and yours,
You got
for all pregnant
14
persons,
showing.
all those who deserve a future with more rights, more freedom, not fewer. And this is an example up here of California
Hit.
being California, doing what we do.
The 7
being
for
who we are,
21.
standing together, the leaders in the legislature, our legislative
21,
leaders,
win and win and
government,
win chicken dinner.
standing as one, speaking with one voice.
Dealer
being that
has
source of life,
13. Has to take a
that
hit.
beacon of hope to the rest of the world and to all those
6
in our state.
for 19. Pushes
For
with
those
Grandpa.
who are in pain,
Unbiased, you win.
I want you to know
10,000.
that California has your back. We will fight for you. We will continue to show up for you. We will not go backward. We will not roll back the clock. We will move forward We will march forward. We will continue to make progress. We will fight for your self-determination, for your freedom, for your privacy.
I don't know
for
if
your
that
rights.
works. I can't remember if it's
Today's
give
a
or
sad
if
day,
it's.
and it's a dark day, but today
I can't
is not
remember what
last
the
day
command
in
is.
this fight.
But you get
Fight
10,000
continue.
points coming to you
We'll
anyway.
continue to march forward. Our fight for reproductive freedom marches on. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to introduce Shannon Olivieri-Hovis at Rob.
Congratulations. Is it give or is it add?
Good
There we
afternoon.
go.
My name is Shannon Olivieri-Hovis, and I'm the director of NARAL Pro-Choice California. NARAL is the oldest and largest abortion rights advocacy organization in the country, and we fight for reproductive freedom for all people. We are powered by our more than 2.5
It's like
million
all
members
our
nationally and more than 300,000
commands
members here
are
in the state.
disabled. Let me look at something.
I think A.G. Bonta actually said all of it so eloquently, to no surprise. I woke
Okay.
up this morning and I hugged my 7-month-old as tight as I could,
Cool.
and I cried in the bathroom. And then I stood up a little bit straighter with a bit more resolve.
I'm getting confused
Because,
between
as he
Stream
said,
Elements and
the fight for
Streamlabs.
reproductive
It's
freedom
kind of
continues.
tough to keep up.
I do want to talk about the real-life consequences of this Supreme Court decision. So we expect 26 states, in short order, to ban abortion entirely.
I gotta
or
check out
almost
my
entirely.
Facebook page and see if
13
that's
states
displaying
have trigger
properly.
bans. That means that with this Supreme Court decision, abortion is outlawed automatically in those states. And we're talking about real people, right? We are talking about more than 33 million women and pregnant people of reproductive age who will lose that access to abortion in their own communities, in their home states.
It's not
And
about
some will travel.
abortion necessarily.
If
it's
they
about
can, and if
fucking.
we can
It's
help them.
unconstitutional to
And
take
some
over
will be
the
forced
rights
to
of
carry
a body.
unwanted pregnancies through to term. And some may be at risk of criminalization for accessing self-managed abortion in their states. And some will die. I don't want to mince words about that. Some will die.
Loki.
And make no mistake that these same states that are banning abortion are the states where it is most dangerous in this country to give birth.
Oh yeah, sweet.
And
Everything's coming
that
through
should not be
quick.
lost on us.
That is good.
California is doing the opposite. We are going in the opposite direction. We've put a welcome sign on the door.
I had to switch.
And we are letting folks know,
I had to
no
switch
matter where they're from,
frequencies
no matter
actually
where they
yesterday
live, no matter what their
from like 2
circumstances, they are
gigahertz
welcome
to
in
5
California
gigahertz in
to
order to
access
get
the
off
critical abortion
everybody
care that they
else's.
NARAL is a proud founding
they were knocking
steering
you
committee
down to
member
like
of the California
30.
Fugitive Abortion Council. This year, we are backing a
30
16-bill
megabytes per
legislative
second. I'm
package.
supposed to get 100.
That includes the state constitutional amendment to specifically enshrine the right to abortion.
Shuffling the rest of the
in our
deck.
state constitution.
Here we go for another round.
We are not taking any chances. We are addressing our provider shortages. We are addressing our access deserts. We are ensuring that people have the practical, logistical, and financial support to get here. We are strengthening our provider network. We are doing all of the things that we need to do. And we are guaranteeing
Grandpa,
that they
we're
have
just-
privacy
we're
in their
just
records,
there
and
to
they are
moderate,
not
man.
at risk of legal
It's really
repercussions
hard
for
not to
providers
get
or
involved.
patients in the state of California based on
But
those
in the
cost
end, we're
demands
just there to
that we're going
moderate.
see move forward.
I mean,
So
that's
it
what
is a
we do.
devastating day. But it's a hope. Because the reality
unbiased,
is
you're
the
first now,
anti-choice movement
because
has
you
been at
won.
this for 50 years. And
No,
the fight for
wait.
reproductive freedom is
As far as the
powerful.
table goes, it goes
We are the
Grandpa, then
supermajority.
unbiased,
What
and
do I
then
mean by
dealer.
that?
So Grandpa
8 in
gets
10
a jack,
Americans support the legal right to abortion.
unbiased
That
gets a
does not mean that
5.
every one of those 8 people would choose
Dealer
abortion
gets a
for
10.
themselves, but they do not believe. They do not believe
Grandpa
that anybody
gets a
else should be
jack.
making that decision. It should reside with the pregnant person,
Unbiased gets a 2.
with their faith, their doctor,
Dealer goes face down.
and
I
with the
gotta see if
support of
that's
their
it.
loved ones.
Yeah, okay.
And NARAL and our members all across this country, in every single congressional
So
district, in every
you have
state,
jacks. Do you
will
want
be
to
fighting
split?
like hell
It's another
to ensure
10,000.
that we continue to ensure that
If
California
you
states
split,
like
then you're
California,
going 10,000, 10,000.
and that we spread our impact, right? That we are
Stand
a
on
reproductive
20.
freedom state,
Okay.
but we're not going at that alone. That's not the California
Stand on
way.
20.
And that was
Unbiased,
part of what Governor
you have a
Newsom
7.
announced earlier today. We continue to bring other states along. And the work that the California Future Abortion Council has
Hit or
done
stay.
has been a blueprint already for other states who have followed our lead this year and continue to do so in expanding access within their states. And that's the ripple effect that we will take.
Unbiased.
So thank you. And up next, I want to introduce Jody Hicks, our incredible partner.
I'm
with
gonna
the
call
President and
you-
CEO of Planned Parenthood affiliates of California.
I'm gonna call you USM because that's a lot easier than pronouncing unbiased social media.
Thank you. I was
All right.
listening
So
to all
hit.
the incredible folks speak.
You
and
now
really
have a
trying to
17.
think of what I would even add today. Most of you I have seen and talked to since September, really since the
Hit or
Future Abortion
stand.
Council was we
USM.
put it together as a response to what happened in September, when really the Supreme Court's inaction at that time allowed Texas to go into effect despite it being unconstitutional. And I talked to many of you that I think thought maybe we were overreacting and didn't think this day was a reality.
17.
And I've been talking since throughout
'Kay.
this about how we're preparing for this
Standing on 17.
Roe reality.
Dealer has a
and I
2
have a hard
underneath
time knowing what to say
or
when that day
a
is here.
12.
We're in a post-Roe
Has to take a hit.
reality. And I don't know that we
Bust.
can
Dealer
probably
busts, you
wrap
both
our
win.
minds around what that means today, but certainly what it means in the future. And I look at folks and there's a deep understanding, especially for anyone with a uterus, of what that actually means. And I think Sotomayor said it really well, that at the moment of fertilization,
Good
it
job.
means that folks don't have equal rights. It means they don't have autonomy
Add 10,000 to
over
both
their
your
body
accounts.
anymore. It means they don't have agency over decisions that affect their futures and their very
Alright.
lives.
Next
And
deal.
I think what I want to say is as
3
we
for Grandpa.
continue to talk about this from this day,
King.
this reaction today, but
For
really
unbiased.
moving forward and what that looks
Ace
like and how
for the dealer.
states like California prepare for what's to come.
9
Real
for Grandpa.
understanding that this
At
is
12.
we're going to talk about it. Some folks are gonna
3
talk about
for
it.
unbiased
How does this
at
affect
13.
the election? What does this mean for certain things?
And
This
a
is
card for the dealer.
value that's about people's lives, and real people are going to be
Not a
hurt
21.
starting today at this moment. At this moment, there's 13 states that are going into effect, if not already by the end of the day, where there are real people that really need care. And now, there are young people that have never traveled outside of the state they're sitting in right now. And they have to navigate a public health system that's hostile to the needs that they have.
Unbiased, you're up in a
And
second.
try and find a way.
Grandpa,
to
I'll
get
get back to you in a
somewhere else.
second.
So while I'm
Grandpa,
not
you're
being
up for
more
a 12.
grateful for California, and I deeply understand the honor of sitting with folks behind me and all of the leaders here, that we are part of shaping
Yeah.
what this post-Roe reality looks like.
I'll reset
We
it.
need to keep
I'll go
in
into
mind
the
that this
site
is
and I'll reset the
value
cloud
that
bot. I don't know
California
what's going
has
on.
that some states don't,
Give me a
and
second.
that hurts
Actually,
real people.
I'll do it right now.
And all I can say is this morning, I think what you're seeing a reaction to is all of us doing the work that we've been doing, but also understanding on this very day a very humane response to what is, and understanding what it means for a generation behind us. 26 states, where are kids going to college? And what rights do they have when they go there? Where are doctors being trained? And will they be trained? And will people get the care they need, even in things like miscarriage management? What is the future for healthcare when we have a maternal mortality rate that's already unconscionable for a country like we have? And what does it mean for pregnant people across this country? So keep that in mind as we move forward and understand why we've been pushing, why a bill like this that protects providers that are tired and still doing the work every single day, that we're ensuring that they're secure, that we're ensuring patients have the resources they need. Because I tell you, my nightmare scenario is that when people come here, they can't get the care because we haven't expanded enough. or that we don't see the influx of patients that we think we should see because they didn't have the resources to get here. And that's cruel, and it's nothing short of devastating. And my daughter came down the stairs this morning and just gave me a hug and said, "I'm sorry." And all I can do is look back at her and say, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And I think that's where we stand today. With that, I'm going to introduce, and I'll just say that the text message I sent our governor this morning, which was a little bit, not that he needed it, but my own needing of getting out a pep talk, which is both by design and by circumstance, California is a leader right now. We've been leading since we put out a blueprint that other states are following. We'll continue to lead. We have that responsibility and we have that honor. And the governor of the state of California is the leader right now in what we do and how we protect, how we prepare, and how we serve patients in California, but certainly patients that have to come to California. So no matter where anyone calls home, we will lead that effort, and it's because of the leaders you've heard from, but certainly proud to welcome the governor, Governor Sutton.
All right. So I reset CloudBot, aka StreamBot.
Well, let me thank all the remarkable leaders that spoke, and thank you for your expressions that I think truly recognize the enormity of this moment, and in many ways, as has been said by a number of you, it's difficult to pick up on where you left off, and I want to just though express that while I'm, don't take this the wrong way, I'm sorry as well. I'm a little less sorry than I am pissed, a little less sorry than I am resolved and angry to do more and to do better. At the same time, expression of appreciation. I'm grateful I'm here in California. I'm grateful I'm a governor.
Oh, that's what
Grateful I
happened.
represent
I know what
a
happened.
state that's fighting for freedom, fighting for reproductive rights, a state that has long stood tall. And I'm sorry that more people do not have those protections today. I am, though, very mindful that California can play an outsized role at this moment. I'm mindful of the fact that we punch above our weight. I'm mindful that this state is the largest and most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy. I'm mindful of our history, our proud past, where we have led. We've said often, we don't imitate, we're a model in many respects to others. Future, in many ways, certainly as it relates to the rights movement, happens here first in the state of California. What we're doubling down on, and have been over the course of the last few years, not just the last few weeks, not just the last few months in anticipation of this decision, is a recognition we did need to do more. We need to step up. We didn't want to rest on our laurels. We didn't want to rest on our progress. We have been leaning in, and I couldn't be more proud about the legislative package that not only has been introduced and is being advanced this year, but the legislative packages that we've advanced that have been successful over the course of the last many, many years in this state. There's simply no other state in the United States of America doing more to protect those that are most vulnerable, not only to this decision, but the vagaries of life. And I'm proud of that. And I want folks to know all around the rest of the country and many parts of the globe that I hope we're your antidote to your fear, to your anxiety, perhaps to the cynicism that many of you are feeling about the fate and future of not only our state, but the world and country, the world we're living in. This is a profound and consequential moment, but it stacks on so many profound and consequential moments. Just 24 hours ago, many of us were together and others lamenting about a jaw-dropping decision where states' rights wasn't afforded on the issue of the Second Amendment, where we quite literally were debating about the meritorious nature of rules and regulations around crossbows and dirks and landscapes, where we were reflecting on historical records, not necessarily legal precedent, where we were reflecting on this notion of fundamental rights can be stripped, and now today we're talking about states' rights. The hypocrisy so extraordinary, so profound, that it was deeply pronounced in the dissent that came out here today. They didn't take any quarter. They pushed back aggressively in the dissent, making the case that was made a moment ago. It's not an assertion. In fact, it was said, as the AG said, with certainty. This is certain, the dissent said, comma, that women are not equal. That's a remarkable statement. Members of the United States Supreme Court. Women are not equal. Women are not free. Women are treated differently than men. Period, full stop. That's fact. That's not fiction. That's not hyperbole. That's not a political statement. That's a fact. And for whatever reason, we're here with a Supreme Court that believes women should not be treated equal. They should not be.
The bot's being a bitch.
And we have men,
I'm
dominant
gonna
men
have to
in all
look
these
into that
positions
later.
of power and influence that believe
Anyway,
government
Grandpa,
mandates,
you got 12
believe
showing.
government bursts. I don't believe in life, because if they believed in life, they would be doing all the things to support those after they're born. We know that.
Hitter
That's
stand.
legendary. Their absolute indifference to life.
Dealer has
They
an
are
A
pro
showing.
conception to birth, period, full stop. That's all this is about. If you think it's not, just consider in the dissent itself, they talked about a number of states, Mississippi being one of them, that has no interest in supporting expansion of Medicaid to extend the opportunities to protect those that are born for at least 1 year with critical medical support in that first year of life. They're not interested in life. That's why they cut programs on child care and prenatal programs, or cut preschool programs. They're not interested in family planning. They
23.
cut family planning programs and sex education.
Dealer
They started with
has
sex education. You can't say that word
Ace 8
in many states.
for
Spare me
19.
this notion of freedom, and spare me, or rather rights in, yes.
Never gets signed when the dealer has an ace.
Freedom? That 13-year-old that's raped, or God forbid,
All right, Grandpa.
Family?
King,
incest,
unbiased, 8.
and has to bear
Dealer, 8.
her sibling, has the freedom of what?
4 for Grandpa.
So this is a remarkable moment, but
2
we're here
for
in
unbiased.
California. And we're here to stand tall and to
And
meet
dealer
this
doesn't
moment
know
head on
yet.
and to lead in. And I'm very proud
14.
that today
Hit
I
or
will
stand,
sign
Grandpa.
one of what I look forward, as was stated by Shannon, over a dozen pieces of legislation that should make my desk in a matter of weeks, that will codify our values and will advance our values. Yes, this November we'll be advancing a constitutional amendment codifying what we've done in statute, and giving people something to be for proactively on the ballot as relates to constitutional right to privacy, the constitutional right that was firmly established up till now.
I'm going to pause this just for a moment. And the reason is that he's actually genuinely pissed. He actually starts like fucking throwing out slang at some point through his conversation. And that's interesting because politicians don't normally do that. And he's like everybody is dumbfounded about what the hell just happened, even though they've been made aware of the memo, which I don't know. SCOTUS should have really thought about this quite a bit, and they didn't. They didn't. I wish they did. Unbiased. Do you want to hit? Say hit again if you want to hit. I'm guessing you want to hit anyway because you're at a 10. 21. Unbiased wins. Dealer has 18. All right, unbiased gets 10 grand. Last hand. I was peeing. That's all good. At least your system's working. The bot should be back. Yeah. Let's see if they can do an adcom on the bot, actually. Why is there no notification? Yeah, something's borked with my fucking bot. I'm gonna have to figure that out. I don't know. I don't know what the hell it is. And I'm staring at the screen right now, but I don't want to deal with it yet. So, last hand. Jack for Grandpa. 5 for you and whatever I called you. USM. There we go. And a 9 for the dealer. Queen for Grandpa. 7 for biased. And that one goes down because there's no way that's going to be a crasher. Okay. 20 to Grandpa. Standing at 20. Okay. 12 to unbiased. Hit. All right. King, 22, busts. I would have hit on that also. Ace is underneath the dealer. So 20. 20 and 20 push. Oh, winners. We got to get a winner. I think I have enough cards to actually do this. All right. We'll do one more. Queen to Grandpa. 7 to unbiased. 6 to the dealer. 9 to Grandpa. 4. You can double down, by the way, because that means you have 11 now. And then the dealer doesn't get to see this card. You're up, Grandpa, with 19. Dealer has 6. Yeah, I have to adjust my points, actually. I meant to remove a whole bunch of those and knock it down to like 100,000. Stand. 19. Okay. Unbiased. Stand, hit, or double down. I would double down on a 7 and a 4. You're going to hit. Okay. You got a 2. So now you're up to 13. Good call. Do you want to hit or stand? Stand. 13. Okay. Dealer has 12. Dealer takes a hit. 17. Unbiased loses. Grandpa, you win. and that's the dealer's hand. Last few cards, would have been an ace, 9 and 7. Ace 10, 9, 7. So, Grandpa, you get 10,000 as soon as I figure out what the hell is going on with my bot. Because it doesn't seem like we have all the rights. It doesn't even seem like I have all the rights that I'm supposed to have. Anyway, I'm going to continue this deal.
Hours ago in this country, but we'll assert that formally. And
Give me a
foundationally
second,
here in the
because I
state of
got to play
California.
with
But
the
we
bot.
also
That bot's
are
pissing
leaning
me
in
off.
terms of providing additional supports. Tens of millions of dollars of grants to providers across the state, 108 health clinics in this state, to provide resources and a more resourceful mindset to help people that may be seeking reproductive care to come into the state of California. We support those efforts to expand the opportunity, regardless of your income and your ability to pay, to make sure there are no co-pays, to make sure everybody is covering your care, not only the health plans, but that care is covered regardless of your immigration status. If you're from another state, you come into the state of California, we're not going to be asking for your ID. We're not going to be asking you a litany of questions that are asked in almost every other state. You have a right to confidentiality, not just privacy here in the state of California. But we're also mindful there's 33.6 million Americans that are likely to lose, that are of reproductive age, that are likely to lose that access if all 26 of these states move in the direction that many of us fear, that we can't absorb all of that. But we will do our fair share and more. And speaking of more, I'm really proud that we're joining in with others, not just the state of California, but other governors, Western governors who stood up as well. I'm grateful to Governor Brown, Governor Inslee, that are asserting that the United States of America at least has the Western United States that will stand tall in terms of our reproductive values and reproductive freedoms. And we are a sanctuary. And we laid out the principles of what that means. One of them I'll be codifying with legislation that I'll be signing here today. We're also here to protect those that will be under assault. We don't think this, we know this. This is not assertion. Again, this is not hyperbole. This is fact. Look at SB 8. SB 8 in Texas, one of the largest states in America. The folks in Texas right now can be civilly fined for a private right of action for aiding and abetting someone that may come to the state of California, as an example, to seek their reproductive rights and reproductive freedoms. We will in no way, shape, or form support, enable, investigate, resource any of those activities or any part of the piece of legislation I'll sign today, but it's also part of our legislative package that will be moving forward, providing true sanctuary and providing legal protections for those governors and those legislative leaders in these red states that literally will deny women the ability to get support or even access to the resources to travel to states like California. You can't make that up, but those are facts. Read SB 8. What is SB 8? I saw some companies want to help with travel expenses to send folks to places like California, but under SB 8, they're subject to civil fines. You see what Marco Rubio's doing in Florida? He's got a law to strip all your tax breaks if you're a company and you're providing reproductive care to your employees. That's the country you're living in right now, we are living in. But it's not a reality here in California. The rights revolution, what we've come to accept and expect over the last 60 years, 50, 60 years, is being rolled back in real time. Wake up. Across the spectrum. They haven't been shy, they haven't been timid, and they're just winding up. I mean, Justice Thomas, his own words, saying, let's go. It's Griswold next. Not just Hodges and same-sex marriage, it's Lawrence. The irony of that shouldn't be lost on anyone in terms of his own status with a relationship and the love of his life. Lawrence v. Texas, you're reminded, 1967. a guy named Richard Loving married Mildred Reeder. And for that, he was sentenced to 1 year in prison and was kicked out of the state of Virginia. And God said in that race famously, or rather, in sentencing, God put different races, the judge said this to Mr. Loving. God put different races on different continents for a reason. God never wanted the races to mix. That was my lifetime. That was interracial marriage, which, according to Justice Thomas, should be considered. Not surprising, because you have a U.S. Senator from Indiana who said the same thing. They're coming after you next. Period. Full stop. This is not just about women. This is not just about choice. This is not just about reproductive freedom. They're coming after you next. It's a serious moment in American history. This great divergence now. Red states versus blue states. But in the spirit
they didn't update on
defines the
Twitch.
sentiment of many
Grandpa,
of us,
I'm gonna
and the
send you a
sentiment of those that
link,
spoke.
and,
we are many parts but one body. And when one part
click on
suffers,
it.
we all suffer. And so our empathy needs to be matched with our care and compassion and action to help support those Americans that are under real threat and autocracy, and I would argue tyranny, from those that wish to incarcerate them.
I fucking have to send a link to myself.
Put them in jail.
That's ridiculous.
To put those family members that seek to help a young girl who was raped get their reproductive rights advanced outside that state, to civilly fine them or criminalize that action in the first place. Doctors themselves. That's what we're up against. Across the spectrum. Banning books. Banning what you can say. In schools, even on corporate boards. Taking tax breaks if they don't like what your position is in terms of your health care policies in a private company. What they're going to do to the environment next week from the Supreme Court's perspective. States' rights, no, but just only for this, but not guns. Profound moment. This is what Mitch McConnell wanted. This is what Donald Trump pursued. And this is the world we're currently living in. But here's, and I'll close on this, and forgive me for being circuitous in my remarks, but I think this moment just punctuates what's really going on in this country and how they're just winding up, and the significance of this moment as a wake-up call. But here's where my optimism lies. Future is not something to experience, it's something to manifest. It's decisions, not conditions, that determine our fate and future. So we have the capacity to turn this around. We have the ability to not allow a minority leader in the House of Representatives to become a majority leader who said today that he would, if he were the Speaker of the House of Representatives, move to codify nationally parts of this decision, 15 weeks, making it illegal all across the United States. We have the ability to stop that by taking action, by waking up and disabusing ourselves that we can stand on the sidelines at this moment and not participate. This is not about agitation. This is about participation. This is about taking steps to move in a new direction by getting rid of those in power that want to dominate and coerce and mandate women and girls' fates and futures. We have that capacity. We have that ability. And I hope, if nothing else, this decision wakes everybody up and enlivens their senses and distills the essence of what this moment means, a moment that none of us thought we would experience. And when Jody did send me that text, we both said we knew it was coming, but, comma, we both filled in the blanks about just hit us in the gut, in the core, that momentary pause we all had, that this is not really happening, is it? Knowing full well that it was going to happen. And here we are, as Californians, prepared not only for this moment, but for the moments that come after. And it's in that spirit that I want to take this moment and sign legislation to push back against those Republican state legislators and governors that seek to move forward with civil actions against people that wish to travel to the state of California seeking their reproductive rights and reproductive freedoms. We will not aid, we will not abet in their efforts to be punitive, to fine, and create fear for those that seek that support. We are proud to provide it, and we do. And we are proud to have opportunity here the day this decision comes out to be able to codify that with the action that I'm taking here today. And I just want to thank the remarkable legislative leadership and Assemblywoman Mara Kahan for her extraordinary leadership in lending her voice and moving this bill so quickly. To the pro tem and the speaker, this would not have happened without you. And I cannot tell you how proud I am to be with you in all of these efforts. There is no other legislature in America like this legislature. Their values, their principles, their character, their decency, not only expressed through this law, but a legislative package that I look forward to signing in a matter of weeks. So thank you all for coming out, and of course, all of us are here to answer any questions.
Governor, now that other states are already moving to ban abortion, will California use public money to help women from those states actually to get here?
Well, we put up tens of millions of dollars providing grants to support health clinics and providers. That provides the fungibility as it relates to their budgets to seek to provide that support. When people do come to the state of California, that support is provided regardless of regardless of your immigration status, regardless of your residency. So that support for actual reproductive procedure is covered. And as it relates to supporting those that are looking for transportation dollars, which I believe is your question, we have partnerships all up and down the state, and we are enhancing those partnerships with a package of support that includes tens of millions of dollars for these providers that will provide them capacity and leeway to enhance their efforts in that space. That's in the spending plan we announced a number of months ago. And that spending plan, as you know, deals with co-pays, website, deals with a series of other efforts in terms of marketing and promoting access to reproductive care, and provides direct grants. There's flexibility in the grants. While there's restrictions related to the grants, I want to make this crystal clear, it relieves other budgetary stress. And within that framework provides the capacity, more capacity, to provide those supports as it relates to transportation accommodations.
Republicans would ban abortion nationwide, and would that undo everything that you and other people?
I'm very worried about it, and the only thing that's going to stop us is us. I'm very worried about it. People don't wake up. We could be living in that reality. It's very real. This is not. Does anyone pay attention to what the hell's going on? I brought up Dirks for a reason, because we're having that conversation in this country about medieval England and what the world looked like in the 1700s. You can't make this up. I was joking with one of the members of the Supreme Court. I said, unfortunately, you're a lawyer. I wish you were a historian. Forget the law now. Apparently, your history versus my history. Some guy from the Hoover Institute's history versus someone from Brookings Institute. And we're going to compare across our historic records. I mean, that was the one common theme between the decision yesterday and the decision today. It should alarm every single damn one of you. Go back to the world in 1790, the founding era. I mean, seriously, think about that. But that's what they're pursuing. That's what's all been about. Look at all the 54 judges, appellate court judges, 54 that Donald Trump endorsed. So many that were simply unqualified, except for the fact they all went through the same indoctrination chambers. They were approved, bought and paid for by the same groups, and they're writing the same opinions. Look at that Nelson decision as it relates to the assault weapons ban, and look at the decision yesterday that came out that's directly attaching an historical frame. This is what they've been about. It's the echo chamber. So the only thing to stop that, to stop specifically your question, to stop a Congress from doing just that is you.
Yeah, I pop in there every once in a while there, unbiased.
So
I do.
I don't know, you need
When I
to
see you online, I jump in there.
That should be the ultimate wake-up call. Sirens. It was a state justice. I joked about
still
the
can't
appointments
add.
I'm making. I said perhaps they should be historic. Again, history professors, not legal.
I don't know what to do. 'Cause I can't.
Would, if there is a nationwide abortion ban, would that undo a lot of what you're saying here
Well, it
today?
depends. It's hard to speculate in terms of the details of that. But you saw today the minority leader of the House of Representatives from the state of California, who resides in a county that has twice the murder rate as our speakers, Speaker Pelosi's city and district, asserted that he would be proud to sign. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't know if the word pride, but I imagine he was quite prideful, to do a 15-week ban if he was privileged to take that position. That should scare the hell out of every single one of you. You know what Mitch McConnell is. I mean, the radicalization of Mitch McConnell's self-evident hypocrisy of people like Lindsey Graham and all these guys in terms of how they conducted themselves and what was appropriate and what was not procedurally in terms of setting up the entire court in the first place. So we know where they land, but it's a little more alarming when folks are auditioning for the speakership.
What is your reaction to Justice Kavanaugh in a separate opinion saying specifically that red states trying to ban women from traveling in California or other states would violate the constitutional rights of interstate travel?
Good for him. I don't say, I mean, you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
unbiased,
no facts. I mean,
man. I'm up
you know.
all night. Like I am
Be
up
honest,
from.
what do you
Generally,
say?
I'm not
I mean,
usually
these
even
guys,
awake during
we
the
know
day.
where they're going.
That's how
We know
much
what-
I'm up all night.
They're already doing it.
That's the craziest thing.
They're doing it. They're doing it right now. What's SBA? Read SBA. Folks, it's already the law. The Supreme Court, including that justice, had an opportunity to overturn SBA and chose not to. He validated SBA. What is SBA for? For civil rights of actions, bounties on people that are aiding and abetting as it relates to traveling and those that want to seek abortion. So by definition, it contradicts his own prior action, but that's not inconsistent with Kavanaugh. Everything about him is inconsistent. Don't take my words for it. Read yesterday's dissent on the gun safety law where he was called out. Read the dissent today as it relates to this decision where he was called out for rank hypocrisy, or a more learned language in their dissent than that, but seems to me what they were suggesting was rank hypocrisy. Forgive me for putting words in his mouth.
Based on what you've heard today from the president and the Democrats who lead Congress, are you satisfied with?
We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. I think Shannon or Jody said it, or someone else a moment ago, forgive me. 50 years they've been winding up. They've been working at every level of government. My observation was that I think we took a little bit for granted over the last 50 years. We're not working every level of government. We're not working every lever of local government. We have a top-down, not bottom-up. There's no top-down message that's particularly coherent from my perspective across the spectrum of issues as it relates to the rights revolution being rolled back in real time, this wrecking ball of the progress of the 21st century that has occurred in the last 15 or so months, to what's going on in all these red states where everybody's trying to outdo themselves in order to get the CPAC early, nod for the next presidential. I mean, every one of these governors trying to outdo each other. You're seeing the same thing right now, right? Oklahoma governor, no, Missouri, the AG here, everybody's going to try to outdo each other. This is serious. And we haven't even gotten to trans rights in the 9 states that have banned trans girls from playing youth sports. They're coming after you next. They're coming after you next.
And as you noted last month, Democrats they have the presidency, they have both houses of Congress right now.
I understand.
You noted you were frustrated that they weren't doing more. Is there more you'd like to see them do at the national level to perhaps get back on some?
I'm going to just focus on how proud I am of the pro tem and her constitutional amendment, the leadership, the speaker, everyone behind me moving that forward as a proactive agenda. How proud I am of the work we're doing here across the spectrum, including when I just signed the bill. I think those are models. Those are examples of things we could be doing at the local level. The work we did with Governor Enzi, Governor Brown, hope other governors join us, this firewall on the West Coast, as it relates to protecting reproductive rights and freedoms. Those are examples. So we're trying to live by example, and that would be my response.
You've said many times that the just wondering, does this decision change how you continue to engage in November or?
No. We were resolved before this, we were more resolved after this, but I'm resolved to, forgive me, remind everybody it's not just about this. And I'm resolved to wake all of us up to what is going on in this country, what is happening in real time that is not getting the attention it deserves in red states across America. And how aggressively and successfully they're rolling back rights that all of us have come to take for granted. You've seen the Supreme Court just in this session, the wrecking ball they have advanced, what they're going to do in EPA next week. I mean, it's just the height of irony. Ronald Reagan himself was the first, former governor of California, first to sign a concealed carry bill in the country. Ronald Reagan himself advanced reproductive rights by supporting those rights as governor of California, providing more funding. And Ronald Reagan himself created the California Air Resources Board, which was a precursor to the EPA. On all three of those principles, former Republican governor of the state of California, and all three of those are being trampled in real time in anticipation of next week's decision, Chevron decision, in this conservative Supreme Court. I hear some saying, boy, the Democratic Party's really deviated. I mean, give me a break. Look at the spectrum of what's happened in the Republican Party. This is extremists. I mean, extremists. Command and control, power, dominance, aggression. It's not the care, compassion, collaboration party. Coercing a 13-year-old raped by her father to come to terms with baby, and then cutting child care programs, prenatal programs, cutting family planning, cutting after-school and preschool programs. What a farce. Governor Abbott sitting there talking about mental health, yet he's cutting mental health budgets. They're hypocrites, frauds on these issues. Perhaps on other issues, they're not hypocrites. Perhaps on other issues, they're consistent. But I had enough of this. They're not pro-life. They are not pro-life. They're pro-birth. They could give a damn. If they did, they would have a different record. They would have supported Build Back Better. That was a pro-family agenda. This is about wrecking families, destroying lives, destroying dreams, putting lives, yes, as Shannon said, at risk. And never would this happen if men were the ones having babies. Ever. And you know that, and I know that, and every damn person knows that. And that's the elephant in the room. Because women are treated as second-class citizens in this country. Women are treated as less than. Women are not as free as men. That's pretty damn sick. I got 4 kids. The reason my wife was so damn emotional is 3 of them are at soccer camp, and we weren't there with them this morning. And when they come back tonight, that's going to be hard for us to explain.
The women in the 13 states watching right now, what is your exact message? If they are thinking about coming to California?
Well, we got your back, but come back. Some of you may have left the state. Come on back. Some businesses may have left. Come on back. And why don't we have you back? You know, it's a point of pride that we welcome you back. We want to celebrate that we have your back. We're not timid about it. We're not shy about it. And we know we're going to have to continue to do more. We have to build, you know, going to have to build our muscles on this. That's what I liked what we did with Inslee and Brown. Now I'm speaking a little more freely. I like it because it's an example of what we now need to do. We need to join hands. We need to go together. And I'm going to work with other Democratic governors up and down, not only the Western United States, but all across this country, to align our principles, align our values, and express them much more forcefully. Red states have been doing that for some time. It's time for us to wake up, control what we can control. I know y'all ask what would you do? Those are things we can't control in the immediate. We can control them on election day. But what we do have control of, it's time for us to assert ourselves much more clearly, communicate what we're trying to achieve, and communicate in unison so people actually pay attention and are hearing us and are believing that we are here for the long haul.
Contraception, same-sex marriage, anything else?
You want my inside voice or my outside? My insight is, yes, I do foresee that. You know, guys, you may recall, I've kind of been involved in some of these issues. I didn't just wake up to them for some time. I've been out on gun policy back when District Attorney Coleman Harris and I were out there at the Cow Palace announcing some efforts in San Francisco. You may recall I was out there on the front steps of San Francisco City Hall. 4,036 couples from 46 states and 6 countries around the world came out to live their lives out loud and say 2 remarkable words: I do. And to see all the progress, and then now see a Supreme Court justice that used his inside voice and expressed with clarity
Awesome.
that not just Criswell, not just Lawrence, but the advances we made on same-sex marriage should be reconsidered by this court. It's something I never, honestly, the worst case scenario, my worst, never thought I'd say. That's the moment.
That's great, dude. Oh, I don't know what happened to my Streamlabs spot, and I'm going to turn it back on because that's where everybody's points are for heist. But it can only play those games. Like, it's totally
We have to be realistic
worked,
about what we can
and I
do.
don't
You know
understand why.
This is not a binary. Within that is nuance. And it's not just the government providing and supporting, it's all of us. It's you, it's me, it's everyone
I don't know.
contributing. It's philanthropy, it's business. I appreciate these businesses that may have moved out of the state that now are sending people back to the state they moved to get reproductive care. They may want to consider, well, that's for another time.
Yeah,
I
Streamlabs
appreciate
isn't
their
up
willingness
yet.
to contribute
I just
to that.
reset it.
I appreciate the work that already is being done by all of you in terms of supporting that, and we can all do
There's
more.
some
And
permission
I'll do more
issues
personally
going on that one.
in terms of our own efforts.
And I
The
don't-
state's going to do what we
I
can
don't
in
know.
that space.
Streamlabs isn't available. I have to reset the chat, and I'm gonna wait till this goes through before I reset the chat because I have a lot more to actually talk about.
Just to absorb what we anticipate, hoping that we can develop the workforce, we can develop the capacity, we can do it in a
So,
culturally competent
yeah.
way, we can do it
So
in a way
hopefully
that
Streamlabs
preserves
comes
sexual
back.
privacy and security, which is also part of our package. Security. That's not just one side of this. That remains an ongoing issue in terms of reproductive rights and facilities that are always consistently under attack for the last half century. And so we have a lot of work to do, and we just don't want to overpromise, but we're not going to underpromise that we're not going to be there for folks because we will provide, regardless of your ability to pay, for that support when you're in the state of California.
As I'm sitting here,
And by the way, the AG is here and others, so I can spare. Oh, sorry.
I was sitting here and I just got a text from the Gavin Newsom campaign on this exact topic, asking for contributions on this.
To this ballot.
You have said that this is the #1 voting issue, and you have also said that the National Party is not doing enough. Do you want to take this fight to the national level and run for national
Come on,
level?
no, there's nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with every one of us needs to do.
Yeah,
everything in
this
our
is going to
power
take a
to
second.
wake people up and to sober people up. to
The reason I
look at
keep
what's
looking
going on
over
in this
here
country. And this
is
issue
because
should
I have
be
another
galvanizing for us,
monitor over here, and
in
that's
that effort.
where I'm
And
trying to
I don't-
tweak
it's pretty obvious.
the stuff with
Self-evident. Now, we have raised
what
money
they call
for this
CloudBot,
initiative.
but it's
And we're
actually
going to raise money for this
Streamlabs.
initiative, and we're going to succeed and we'll prevail. We
But
it
I
is an
think it's
example.
going to take me
Others
to
assert
actually
themselves
reset
more
the stream in
Stop
order to
playing
get
defense.
everything to change.
We have been on the defensive
So-
across the spectrum. And you make a point, we're in the majority with obvious criteria that you may have a majority of bodies, just not a majority of
I've
procedure.
never had to assign
Capacity as it relates to some of the stubborn issues like the filibuster,
roles
but beyond that,
to
this
anybody
has now been nationalized, yes. And now it's time for
before.
us to
And
assert
so
ourselves
this is
accordingly,
new.
bottom up, not just top down, and I know
Because
what you're
before
doing
it was just
And,
like the
I
mods
saw a
could
tweet from a
handle
well-known
everything.
conservative today,
And now we
who
can't.
expressed
I
some concern
can't even.
about
I
that for
can't
good
even.
reason,
Like I'm locked
because
out of
I
doing
think
stuff
they're
that I
gonna see
should be
something
able to
they
do.
never imagined seeing this November, and I hope to be part of that conversation. As
I don't
all
know
of us
how to
have,
reset it.
for many, many years. With that, we thank you all for your time and attention. Thank you, guys.
I'm in Streamlabs right now. I'm in OBS. That's what I'm filming over right now. It's frustrating because I can't. Every time I click, it goes to a different web page. But we got, we got it set up for the most part, I think, and Streamlabs isn't really talking. So that's over. So bear with me. I'll be right back. Just going to end the stream, and I'll be right back. And try to refresh and see if Streamlabs comes back. It's supposed to.